The Jordan River, a vital source of life and spirituality for millions, has finally ceased to flow, leaving behind a stark and ominous scene. For years, environmentalists have warned of the river's decline, citing pollution, climate change, and overuse as major factors in its deterioration. But now, as the riverbed lies barren and dry, something else is emerging from the depths, something that has been hidden for far too long. Join us as we embark on a journey into the heart of this mystery and discover the truth about what is happening to the Jordan River. Arab and Jewish agricultural settlements have established themselves in the Jordan Valley in areas that are suitable for irrigation. The area along the East Gore Canal on the east bank and the area of the Wadi Friya on the west bank are two notable examples of areas that have been settled. The Ula Valley is located in the north of Israel, and it is the oldest kibbutz in Israel, having been established in 1909. It is not possible to navigate this river due to the fact that its upper route is steep and rocky, that its flow rate varies with the seasons, and that its bottom channel is winding and shallow. The waters of the Jordan are particularly valuable for agricultural purposes. For a considerable period of time, the water was not utilized, with the exception of a few oasis settlements located in the neighboring foothills, such as Jericho, which drew its water supply from springs that supplied the river. The Gore region was once dismal, empty, and barren. However, the East Gore Irrigation Canal, which is 43 miles long and was constructed in 1967 on the east bank, has made it possible to cultivate oranges, bananas, early vegetables, and sugar beets on the Jordanian side of the valley. A water supply grid has been constructed in Israel. This grid, in addition to the drained portions of the Ula Valley and the construction of a canal from the Sea of Galilee to Bet Shean, enables 11.3 billion cubic feet of water from the Jordan River to be pumped annually to the center and south of Israel. The diversion of river water by both Israel and Jordan has greatly reduced the flow of water from the Jordan River into the Dead Sea. This diversion of water has been a major contributor to the huge decline in the water level of the Dead Sea that has occurred since the 1960s. The widespread damage caused by climate change is making it one of the most pressing problems of our day. The most significant of these repercussions include water scarcity, drought, severe changes in sea levels and plant life, and increased rates of extinction for animal and plant species, in addition to their impact on human society. Human activity is the primary cause of climate change, since it has led to a rise in atmospheric greenhouse gas concentrations, which in turn trap more heat on Earth. With shifting weather patterns posing a threat to food production and rising sea levels heightening the risk of catastrophic flooding, the United Nations has declared that the world is at a critical juncture due to climate change. If immediate action is not done, adjusting to these repercussions in the future will be more expensive and complex. Jordan has signed on to several international treaties that try to mitigate the consequences of climate change in the kingdom and elsewhere. According to the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change report from 2021, Jordan is one of the countries most at risk of drought due to global warming. Jordan's climate change measures are ambitious, but they are constrained by the need for a long-term response and the nature of available resources. Resources, both monetary and human, are finite and therefore subject to scarcity. Adaptation projects to climate change, such as reforestation, pasture restoration, and water projects, continue to struggle due to a lack of finance. Jordan has planned interventions and mitigation initiatives with an estimated cost of $7.5 billion to lessen the impact of the situation. To achieve its target of a 31% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions, the Kingdom of Jordan will need foreign money and support to cover the remaining 26%. The approval and decision-making processes for climate-related funding are typically lengthy and cumbersome, and overall, climate-related funding remains low and insufficient. In addition, Jordan lacks a sufficient number of trained human cadres to deal with climate change, with many professionals relying instead on their own best judgment in the absence of formal education or experience. Training tailored to the unique needs of combating climate change is essential for building the skills and knowledge necessary to carry out effective strategies both now and in the future. The most important thing that can be done to lessen the impact of climate change on critical industries like agriculture and water is to put those plans and strategies into action. As a result, governments are realizing that plans to mitigate the effects of climate change, along with the development of coherent and synergistic responses to the crisis, must be a top priority, bringing into sharp focus the imperative to unify efforts among policymakers in all institutions at the national, regional, and global levels. Despite its public rhetoric, The Jordanian government does not appear to give climate change the importance it deserves. Neither the country's agricultural nor water plans appear prepared to meet the anticipated challenges affecting water levels and food security. Agriculture and cattle breeding are two fields where this is evident. Climate change has direct and indirect impacts on agricultural productivity, such as through shifting precipitation patterns, droughts, floods, extreme temperatures, and the geographic redistribution of pests and diseases. Unless immediate action is taken to make agriculture more sustainable, productive, and resilient, food production will be negatively impacted. The newest data shows that over 90% of Jordan's land receives an annual rainfall of less than 200 millimeters, and that the average annual rainfall rate in Jordan is around 95 millimeters. However, annual population increases, caused in part by fresh groups of migrants, have increased the need for water. Jordan has an annual water demand of 1.4 billion cubic meters and a yearly shortage of roughly 500 million cubic meters. Overpumping underground wells helps with scarcity since the rate of water withdrawal is greater than the rate of water storage. With this as a backdrop, climate change is directly responsible for one of the worst droughts in Jordan's recorded history. In the valley parts of the country, especially the Jordan Valley, the lack of precipitation and the accompanying increase in warmth has had a devastating effect on the water and agricultural sectors. This means that the areas once thought of as Jordan's breadbasket are in danger and will soon be unable to maintain production unless true, fundamental, and long-term solutions are found. More than just the agriculture and water industries are feeling the effects of climate change. Instead, its effects will ripple throughout society as a whole, as climate change raises the risk of water-related childhood disorders. Childhood illness can delay a child's maturation and learning potential. The real-world implications of climate change on Jordanian society's structure and social norms pose a real risk of making the country poorer. The security and social peace danger will also increase the burden on the state and its security apparatus, which will change how money is spent across departments. The genuine need to confront climate change will be sacrificed as spending rises for security concerns. Women are disproportionately impacted by global economic crises, natural disasters, epidemics, and pandemics. Consequently, a decline in women's economic empowerment is one of the most startling effects of climate change if it is not addressed proactively. This also indicates that women are more likely to suffer from the effects of climate-related calamities. Women account for 70% of the world's impoverished, yet they receive far less aid in terms of education, healthcare, and food security than males. Approximately 63% of the world's illiterate population are women, twice as many as men. And this proportion is expected to grow as climate change intensifies. This demonstrates how the disempowerment of vast populations is indicative of the far-reaching repercussions of climate change on society as a whole. Here, the value of educating people, especially young people, about the impacts of climate change and giving them the tools they need to become change agents is emphasized. Young people must be given real opportunities to weigh in on issues affecting their lives and futures, such as sustainable natural resource management and climate change. The indifference of industrialized nations over many years has led to climate change, as has the failure of decision-makers to plan ahead. However, climate change has shown us that we are all interconnected as one planet with one fate. The efforts of separate nations will amount to nothing unless we adopt progressive and strong measures to address what we can about climate change and construct norms and systems to deal with the subsequent consequences. The effects of climate change affect everyone, so we need to work together to stop it. There is no question that it has suffered as a direct result of the conflict. Yana Abu Taleb, who heads up EcoPeace Middle East and is Jordanian, is quoted as saying, "It's a victim of people because it's basically what we did as people to the river, and now adding to all this, it's a victim of climate change." Kristen Burkhardt felt overwhelmed. She wanted some time alone to reflect on what had just occurred to her, to let it sink in that she had just dipped her feet in the water in the Jordan River, which is said to be the spot where Jesus was baptized. She also needed some time to let it sink in that she had just plunged her feet into the water in the Jordan River. The guest, who was born and raised in Indiana and was 53 years old, referred to it as very profound. "For one thing, I cannot say that I have ever walked in the footsteps of Jesus," the speaker said. "I have never been to the Holy Land." Pilgrims and tourists from all over the world come to this location so that they can retrace the steps that Jesus Christ took, put their hands in the water of the river, and have a personal connection to the events that are detailed in the Bible. A great deal of significance, both metaphorically and spiritually, is attached by a huge number of individuals to the river. The lower Jordan River is in a much more manageable state now than it was in the past when it was in similar conditions, in a purely physical sense. The water has gotten slow by the time it reaches the area of the baptism, and it has taken on a color that may be described as falling somewhere between brown and green. The Arab-Israeli conflict, which has been going on for decades, and the battle over access to precious water in an area where so much else is contested, are both causes that have contributed to its deterioration. Both of these issues are competing for limited resources. During the war that took place between Israel and Jordan, for instance, a section of the river was used as a hostile border between the two countries. In addition, the canal separates Jordan, which is located to the east, from the West Bank, which is located to the west. There is no doubt in my mind that the fighting has affected it. It's a victim of people because it's basically what we did as people to the river, said Yana Abu Taleb, the Jordanian director of EcoPeace Middle East. This organization brings together Jordanian, Palestinian, and Israeli environmentalists and lobbies for the purpose of regional collaboration on saving the river. And to add insult to injury, it is also a victim of the changing climate. The river is affected negatively by both people and the changing environment, and as a direct consequence, it appears to be a victim in every way. Since the organization's beginnings, EcoPeace has argued that the lower Jordan, which begins at the Sea of Galilee and continues southward, is in jeopardy as a result of decades of water diversion and pollution. That's all for the video today. We will be right back with more such videos. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Share this video with your family and friends, and please click the bell button to receive notifications when we upload new videos to the channel. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.